Awesome, awesome. I see folks trickling in. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first set virtual pharmacy school fair. We're just going to give it like 30 more seconds and we'll start right at, oh, never mind, it is now 2:15. So thank you all so much for joining us today for this first session from Pills to Policy, Navigating Pharmacy Career Possibilities. So this workshop will provide you with a comprehensive overview of the pharmacy field, from traditional roles in community and hospital settings to exciting and emerging career paths in specialty practice areas, including oncology, emergency medicine, psychiatry, and infectious diseases. We are joined by Dr. Abir El-Alfi, who will be our speaker today, and I will turn it over to her. But before I do that, feel free to put any questions that you have into the Q&A box. If your questions can't be answered during this session because it is pretty short, feel free to enter Dr. El-Alfi's booth, which is the Medical College of Wisconsin, and she'll be happy to answer any lingering questions that you have after this session. So without further ado, I will give it over to you and you can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Danielle, and welcome everyone to our session from Pills to Policy, where we're going to explore some exciting pharmacy career possibilities. Here's an outline of how the next 25 minutes will go. I'll give a brief introduction of my career path into pharmacy, and then a quick overview of the pharmacy profession in general, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into the exciting pharmacy career pathways that are available for you. And I will end with some focus on interprofessional collaboration and how pharmacists can really be effective members of an interprofessional healthcare team. At the end, we'll have a few minutes for your Q&A session so I can answer any questions that you have. All right, so I'm Dr. Abir El-Alfi. My pharmacy journey started back home in Cairo University in Egypt, where I got my pharmacy degree. Then I immediately moved to the US, got a master's degree in microbiology, followed by a PhD in pharmacology and toxicology. Then I took the academic route, and I've been teaching in pharmacy and medical schools for about 30 years now. And currently, I am a professor at the Medical College of Wisconsin. My specialty is pharmacology and toxicology, and I also serve as the assistant dean for student affairs. So before we get started, if you're not too shy, put in the chat what interests you about pharmacy? Just a sentence. Why are you interested in pharmacy as a profession? If you haven't thought about that, make sure that you do have an answer to that question before you apply to pharmacy schools, and definitely before you actually go through your interview process. I cannot see the chat box, but I'm not sure if anyone put any why they're interested in pharmacy. What interests you about pharmacy profession?
One response that we got so far is that their dad was a pharmacy technician. Oh, we're getting more responses. Hold on.
Nice. I
So
can see like 5.
we're seeing interested in bridging health disparities in marginalized communities, being able to help those around us, gaining knowledge that can help many people, drug development, closeness between chemistry and medicine. Um, Someone has been a technician for 15 years, which is awesome.
Nice.
Some have their own health battles. It's moving
Mhm.
very fast. So, but lots of great response in the chat.
Well, thank you for entering all of these. And literally, all of your answers summarize really the role that the pharmacist plays in our healthcare system. And this is what I'm going to focus on. So by the end of this webinar, you should be able to describe some of these unique pharmacy career options, specialty practice areas. I will give you a chance to hear some of the real-world pharmacist testimonials, as well as interprofessional team. Everything that you said can be summarized in this one nice, unique sentence that describes pharmacists. Pharmacists truly help people live healthier, better lives. At the end of the day, this is the final outcome of healthcare, but pharmacists play a major role in making sure that people lead this healthier and better lives. If you think of pharmacy as a profession, you will see that In a recent poll for the public, pharmacists were ranked among the top 3 most trusted professions, from honesty, ethics, as well as accessibility to patients, which really makes it one of the most rewarding careers in healthcare, but careers in general. In addition to this, if you look at recent reports from the CDC, they noticed that adding a pharmacist on a patient's healthcare team significantly improves the chronic disease management and medication adherence of that patient, which adds to the value of the pharmacist being a valuable member of a healthcare team. So if we try to summarize what are the buckets of different careers and roles that pharmacists play in our healthcare system? I summarize this in 4 big buckets. The first is, and we all need to acknowledge that, pharmacists are the medication experts. If you think of the curriculum in a pharmacy school and what pharmacy students have to go through, they are the medication experts. They are the ones whom other healthcare professionals will go to seek advice on dosing. They are the ones who ensure that medications and doses are correct, but they also want to make sure that the patient is given a safe and effective medication. New areas are emerging where pharmacists play a major role in what we call personalized medicine that relies heavily on pharmacogenomics, where the patient is actually giving medication that is tailored to their own genetic profile. Utilizing that medication expertise, pharmacists also provide direct patient care. And this is where the role of the pharmacist actually is expanding in recent years. We've seen that since COVID, but you will see that in a patient care setting, pharmacists are responsible for different roles, from collecting information, taking medication history, to assessing the current problems that the patients have, and then in collaboration with healthcare professionals, develop the plan for the treatment, for patient treatment. Then it becomes the pharmacist's job to educate the patient about that plan, but not just educating that patient, but making sure that the patient is monitored when it comes to, are they following through with that plan? And then finally making sure that they achieve the best outcome, the best health outcome from that plan. From medication expert to personalized or patient care, but then expand this role to population health at large, because pharmacists are an integral part of the community and they are among the most accessible healthcare professionals to the public. So pharmacists, with their training, they can practice at the top of their license to develop policies, to oversee implementation and implement systems to prevent medication errors. And one of the main roles that pharmacists play in a hospital setting in particular is what we call antibiotic stewardship. Pharmacists carry the heavy lift of making sure that antibiotics are being prescribed in a responsible manner. This way, we do not add to the problem of increasing microbial resistance to our current antibiotics. Then from direct patient care to overarching population health to leadership and management roles. Pharmacists, with their training, they are at a unique position to participate in developing procedures, developing policies, making sure that they follow up with medication records, but help train and supervise staff in various healthcare settings. If you look at the market, and if you haven't done that, make sure that you do. The pharmacy profession is on the rise. We definitely need to hire more pharmacists. And if you follow the news, you will see that there is a shortage of staffing pharmacists. And this is due to multiple reasons. From number one, there is a greater demand for community pharmacies as a healthcare destination, as more patients actually do not seem to have access to proper healthcare. We all understand that we are reaching that point where aging population is getting into the healthcare system. And with this aging population, actually, pharmacists will be needed more. The reason is the aging population typically has what we call complex medications or polypharmacy, and pharmacists are the best healthcare professionals that can help actually decipher and ensure that patients are not getting drug interactions and they are not getting severe adverse effects from these polymedications that they are on. There is more demand to utilize the pharmacist skills in a healthcare system. And we've seen that since COVID, where pharmacists now are spearheading the immunization and vaccination tasks in healthcare systems. If you look, I've been teaching, as I mentioned, in pharmacy and medical schools for 30 years, and I can see a major shift in the different career path that pharmacists actually are pursuing. If you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and check that website, it gives you an idea of the options that are available for pharmacists, but also the outlook for pharmacy jobs. Currently, only 39% of pharmacists are in pharmacies and drug retailer jobs. The rest are more hospitals, clinic, and the one that's really on the rise is the ambulatory healthcare services, which we will talk about in a little bit. So the reality is there is a big shift from that direct to career, where the pharmacists are primarily in community or retail settings, to more direct patient care in clinical settings and hospital settings. However, do not underestimate the role that the pharmacists play in these community settings. We definitely need to fill these positions where patients have access to their medications and they get the proper education and training to manage their disease states. Again, go to that site for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where you can see that the outlook for the job market is high. More jobs will be added over the next 10 years with about 5% increase. And the median, the average salary for a pharmacist is around $137,000 per year, which is a pretty good starting job, if I can say. You all are interested in pharmacy, and there are different ways of starting your pharmacy career. You can complete your prerequisite courses, or you can get a bachelor degree and then join a PharmD with either a 4-year option of a PharmD or an accelerated 3-year program that goes year-round. Then once you're done, you take your licensure exam to become a certified or a licensed pharmacist. And then you can directly join the workforce or explore postgraduate training between residency, fellowship, other board certification to pursue certain specialties if you're interested in. Where do pharmacists work? There is a ton of places where pharmacists work, from community pharmacy to industry, to poison control centers, to veterinary clinic, to long-term facilities, to hospitals. There are various options for pharmacists. So let's see, what roles do pharmacists play in this from pills to policy? Let's start first with pills. This is where pharmacists play a major role in the field of drug discovery. And drug discovery starts with the research aspect, from preclinical research to clinical research to participation in clinical trials to post-marketing, all the way to governance and regulatory affairs. So if we think of the role of the pharmacist in drug research, and this typically happens either in academia or in where pharmacists are hired in pharmaceutical industry. If you think about a pill, we need pharmacists to, number one, do research to identify the target that we are interested in for a particular disease state. Then go through the process of drug development and formulation. Pharmacists are highly equipped, again, based on their training, to really develop the formulations. Is this drug going to be delivered to the patient as a tablet, as a capsule, or maybe as an inhaler? all these formulations are designed primarily by pharmacists. So this is all a preclinical research. And then once we have the drug developed, then we apply to clinical trials, where pharmacists are an integral part of a clinical trial team, because we need the pharmacists to monitor the drug levels when patients are taking this medication, to monitor the side effects, to make sure that this medication is effective, but it's also safe for patients who are taking it. Once the drug is released, once we have the preclinical and clinical research, then typically we apply for investigational new drug to the FDA, where pharmacists are part of the team actually that evaluates the investigational new drug applications and make sure that either give it a go, this drug is approved to go to the market, or they ask for more research. So every step of the way in this drug discovery pathway, pharmacists play a major role in this step. Then once the drug is on the market, now as a future pharmacist, you have the capability of joining industry in a different capacity, where you can be part of the pharmaceutical sales management type of team. You can be part of the team that monitors the outcomes, health economics and outcomes of that drug. You can be a medical science liaison who helps actually educate healthcare professionals about this new drug that the pharmaceutical company has just developed. Or you can be part of what we call the pharmacovigilance team. This is the team that monitors any medication that goes out on the market. We call it the post-surveillance marketing, where we can monitor any reported side effects, drug interaction, any major toxicity that patients might report. This way, we ensure that that drug is not just effective, but it's also safe for the rest of to be used. And with this continuous monitoring post FDA approval, you will see that many changes happen to any drug that goes on the market. A new warning may come out, or maybe a new usage for that drug actually can come out as well. And this goes on throughout the time that this medication is on the market. So typically, these jobs are available within pharmaceutical industry. But then overarching all of this, you can have a government job where you are actually an integral part of the regulatory affairs, and you shape the policy of drug usage. So you can be part of the FDA, you can be part of the CDC. All of these government jobs actually help shape the policy of drug usage. So that's on the research side and drug discovery. Then on top of that, in addition to this, pharmacists play a major role in patient care delivery. And this is where really the role of the pharmacist has expanded over the past 10 or 15 years, and it keeps expanding. Different settings for pharmacists to practice. So pharmacists can practice in a community setting, which we are all familiar with community and retail pharmacy, but they can also practice in outpatient clinics where they can help in what we call transition of care. So if a patient is admitted to a hospital, but now they are about to be discharged, but we need to transition the care of that patient from the hospital to their home place, a pharmacist is on board to make sure that the dosage change is the correct one. That maybe the patient is being, taken off an opioid, but now we have to replace it with another opioid, or one antibiotic that was in the hospital, and we need to replace it with an oral antibiotic now. So that transition of care is really crucial. And pharmacists play a major role in that particular setting. In a hospital setting, there are multiple places for pharmacists, and almost every floor in hospitals now have a pharmacist within it. In addition to compounding and automation, pharmacists play a major role. And I'll give you an example. Oncology. The oncology department rely heavily on pharmacists because cancer patients are placed on multiple chemotherapeutic agents that have a ton of side effects, that they can have a ton of drug interactions, and pharmacists are the go-to to help decide on the treatment plan as well as the dosing. And more importantly, how do we provide supportive care for these patients? How do we make sure that we reduce the side effects that these patients are experiencing and make sure that they have the best quality of life with this disease state? Ambulatory care setting, as I mentioned earlier, ambulatory care is one of those booming areas of pharmacies now. Pharmacists can work in ambulatory care setting, primarily in outpatient. They can be part of the transition of care as well. This is where pharmacists play a major role in managing patients, in particular with chronic disease states. So patients who have hypertension, diabetes, heart failure, arrhythmia. These disease states are chronic disease states where patients need continuous monitoring, and they may not be able to have, a 6-month visit with their healthcare provider every 6 months, but they can be monitored by a pharmacist in order to make sure that they have the best outcome. Sometimes, every 6 months, maybe the hypertension of that patient is not under control, and we need to change the medication. Pharmacists now, actually, under what we call collaborative practice agreement, they have the capability of changing the medication and prescribing in consultation with the physician. This saves a ton of time and reduces actually the stress and the burden on healthcare system. So the reality is utilizing pharmacists in these various settings for patient care delivery has proven to provide the best outcome. Home infusion is another aspect, another area where pharmacists play a major role. Patients who are on home infusion therapy, meaning they are on IV, total parenteral nutrition, for example, at home, pharmacists play a major role in deciding on the treatment plan, in making sure that all of the doses are correct for the different medications as well as nutritional values that they are providing. There are specialty clinical services or specialty clinics where pharmacists play a major role. These clinics, for example, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of anticoagulation clinics, where patients who are placed on blood thinners, they are constantly monitored for the level as well as the coagulability of their blood. There are specialty clinics for HIV clinics and so on. So these are all specialty areas that pharmacists prove to be valuable for providing patient care. So these are all different types of pharmacy practice and specialty roles that pharmacists can participate in. I have let me see. So then, I'm sorry. The next slide actually will show you, this is an emergency medicine pharmacist, which is one of the unique actually pharmacy practice experience that pharmacists can pursue, where pharmacists can be part of an emergency medicine team. Let's hope the audio works.
A lot of different duties. We respond to trauma calls, stroke calls, myocardial infarction calls. We respond to procedural sedations. We're available to answer any questions about any patient that comes to the ER. I had one professor that was an ER pharmacist. I came here for residency and got to see an ER pharmacist, and I knew that's something that I wanted. The team I work with really makes it easy to come to work, and I enjoy coming to work, working with nurses and physicians and advanced practice providers, communicators and technicians. We all have to work together to make sure patients are taken care of. I get to teach students, I get to teach residents, I get to teach nurses, I get to teach physicians and advanced practice providers. So it's something I'm really passionate about. So 15 milligram bolus for STEMI. Okay. I think MCW School of Pharmacy is preparing students well.
So This is just one example. This one actually shows an oncology pharmacist, which, as I mentioned, was one of the unique pharmacy practice specialties that pharmacists hold. We also have like organ transplant pharmacist, which is another, a new area. Pharmacogenomics and helping with informatics is another specialty pharmacy as well. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip the other two. Sorry, did that go? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing that. I think I'm just going to. It doesn't want to stop sharing this, but 1 second.
No worries. While you do that, yes, I see a couple of questions in the chat I want to address. Yes, you will have access to the recordings after this session. In fact, the lobby for this event will be open until September 26th. So you can go to the sessions tab and then it'll say, I think, watch or watch recording instead of join here. So no worries if you didn't see the whole session. Abir, are you good?
I think I am. I'm going to share. Is it sharing now?
Working there, almost. Yes, that will be the case for all the sessions.
Perfect.
And if you want to go back to share, like presentation mode, perfect. You're good to go.
All right. Perfect. So I have a couple of videos that you can watch, including oncology pharmacist, as well as pediatric pharmacy. This is another booming area. Veterinary pharmacy is a new specialty, not new, but it's another specialty where pharmacists are becoming more and more in demand for. So from drug discovery and pills to patient care delivery, the other aspect is healthcare integration. How pharmacists really play a major role in integrating and holding together the healthcare system. During your training as a pharmacy student, you will have leadership administrative courses. You will be required actually to take administrative classes, which is unique for pharmacy profession actually compared to other healthcare professions. Pharmacists play a major role nowadays in analytics, in being part of analytics and informatics, having access to patient database and being able to utilize the databases that are available to drive policy and change drug policy is crucial. The ability of contracting, the 340B program, this is a program that really helps patients who cannot afford medications, and pharmacists play a major role in driving drug policy for this. Pharmacists are the gatekeeper of inventory and drug shortage management in healthcare system, and making sure that patients have access to medication as well as medication safety. Pharmacists oversee regulatory compliance, so being hired by the FDA or the CDC to make sure that all of the regulations and drug policies are being followed is a major component of the pharmacy. Here's an example. This is one of our alumni, actually, who recently joined a team for regulatory efforts in clinical trials, both in Georgia and Wisconsin. So this is just to show you that once you graduate with your PharmD, the options are endless. The career opportunities are really endless. So from pills to drug policy, a major aspect as well is global health. We do not live in silo. And nowadays, the world is as close as ever. And pharmacists are on the forefront on providing the access to global health and providing the expertise to global health. I summarize the role of the pharmacist can play in global health based on these, 6 aspects that are part of the World Health Organization, where pharmacists can help provide patient care, immunizations, but more importantly, train and mentor and develop workforce in globally, provide supply chains, be part of pharmacovigilance, make sure that they are advocating for policy development, as well as being part of an emergency response team. I think we all just came out of COVID, but the reality is pharmacists were on the forefront of response team for COVID. And this is just a testimonial of a team that really participated in global health post-disaster, and how this experience, made a big difference in their profession as well as in the countries that they served. I'm going to end with the interprofessional collaboration and how pharmacists play a major role in what we call person-centered care. So we moved away from just patient-centered care to person-centered because we value the patient. We're going to deliver healthcare to a patient as a person, where we're not just considering the disease state that the patient has, but also the patient as a person, the social, economic, cultural aspects of that patient, and make sure that the patient is part of the developing the plan to make sure that the patient actually follows through the plan. Pharmacists are involved in collecting, assessing, making the plan, implementing, as well as following up with the plan. So if you think about it, all the way from drug discovery and developing drug to patient care delivery to global health and developing policies, pharmacists are an integral part of this system. Finally, as you start your education journey in pharmacy, think about how pharmacy is a diverse, impactful, and evolving profession. Make sure when you join a pharmacy school that you explore pharmacy profession beyond the traditional roles, and make sure that you can actually help collaborate and make sure that you explore these opportunities. If you have further questions, you can join our booth at the Medical College of Wisconsin. This is my email if you have personal questions for me as well. And this is our pharmacy@MCW email. I'm not sure if we have time for a couple of questions.
We don't have any time for questions in this room, but like you said, folks, if you have questions for Dr. Al-Alfi, please join her booth. Again, that's the Medical College of Wisconsin School of Pharmacy. She'll be there to answer any questions that you have about our presentations or about the Medical College of Wisconsin School of Pharmacy. Our next session will start at 3 p.m. At Eastern Time, so in another 15 minutes or so. So in the meantime, please feel free to visit the expo, visit her booth, as well as any others. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining me. Bye.